Right. Joining me at this point of time is my guest, Major Mohammed Ali Shah, who's a defense expert and oftenly does give us time on these issues surrounding tensions escalating in the Middle East. Very good morning to you, Major Mohammed Ali Shah. And at this given point of time, it is important to understand, the role of Hezbollah being powered by intense weaponry. And at this given point of time, from 1971 to this time, how its existence has now been at the forefront of threatening the millions of lives of civilians that are still presently trying to battle the survival in Israel and in the southern Lebanon.
Right, Simran, it's a very, very complex situation and a very, very concerning development that has taken place. In fact, especially when after the death of Hassan Nasrallah, after the killing of Hassan Nasrallah, Iran attacks Israel, and which has been condemned by various other countries like France, America, Japan. Japan's new prime minister, he has said he's willing to join America. He's condemned it. He said it's highly unacceptable, and he's willing to join forces with America in order to prevent an escalation of war over there. So this is actually 180 ballistic missiles. 180 ballistic missiles. Most of them are intercepted with the help of America and the Iron Dome system, that the technology that Israel's got. And their rear admiral, their spokesperson, Davis, he had mentioned that there's been no casualty in Israel as yet. So it's fine. But then Iran also had fired on Israel in the Central Economic Zone around month of May, if I'm not mistaken, and that was a symbolic attack because in a Syrian consulate, the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard of Iran, a few of them were killed over there, and it was suspected Israeli attack. It wasn't proved till today. Neither has Israel taken responsibility of it, and neither has it been proved. But it is indeed a very, very concerning development. Now, the Defense Secretary Lloyd J. Austin III on Tuesday night of US. In fact, he said the US forces who had helped Israel shoot down missiles remained ready to protect US troops and help defend Israel. Now, in a statement, he also called the attack of Iran as outrageous act of aggression. Now, also, parts of Israeli missile had fallen into Jordan, which was stated by Mohammed al-Momani, and he's a government spokesperson who had told the state-owned media over there, Al-Mamlaka, that TV, he had mentioned that this had happened. And so when there is a war, of course, there is going to be collateral damage, which is very sad. But again, a collateral damage, if I have to talk in terms of, say, Gaza, for example, Israel, they finished 41,000 civilians. Most of them are children, women, elderly, unacceptable from any side. Now, Iran has attacked Israel. Now, the very fact is, how do we end this conflict? There's no end. God forbid, it pains me no end. Over 100 years, this conflict has been going on. I personally feel that Hamas should straight away react and release the hostages without a second's delay. Because if you see logically, after 7th October last year, ever since Hamas took the hostages, since then the escalation has gone on and gone forth. Now, because जितने hostages नहीं लिए उतने लोग तो मारे उससे ज़्यादा multiplied by 10 people have been killed, they've died over there. I mean, multiplied by 100 I would say. So Hamas should firstly release the hostages. Now, also if you notice, Israel's target, their focus from Hamas has gone towards Hezbollah. Hezbollah, their chief was killed, and Hezbollah, see, every Newton's law of motion says every action has an equal and opposite reaction. When there's a retaliation, of course, retaliation is with much more anger, much more force, much more gravity, much more inertia. So the very fact is, now when Iran attacks Israel, Israel is not going to keep quiet. Israel will fire back, Israel will give back in a much befitting reply. The statement has come from Iran that this is only our next release of missiles will be much harder than this. Israel has said we will strike back at a given time of our choice, a place of a choice. We deserve the right to do how we want to do. And Israel is not going to definitely keep quiet. They've got support from various other international
All right, Major Mohammed Ali Shah, yet there, of course, making a very important point. Let me also firstly understand from Major Mohammed Ali Shah about, very clearly an important point has been raised, that how India's next step into this entire conflict should be. Because at the same time, when we talk about United States, while it's reiterating its support to Israeli defense forces and the Israeli government, how India looks at the entire situation breaking out, especially, and also to the safety of its own nationals in Israel, how crucial that is for India, and how and where India should be, taking the right steps at the right time.
Simran, I commend you for asking me this question, and thank you for asking me this. Now I would just like to firstly quote Mohammad Bagheri, who is the Iran's top military officer, who said in a state television interview that the missile that Iran had fired on Israel had targeted 3 military bases: Nevatim, Hadzerim, and Tel Nov, and also the headquarters of Mossad. So Israeli agency is the headquarters of the Israeli intelligence services, which we all know as Mossad, the famous Mossad. Now, he also said that Iran deliberately had not attacked any civilian establishments and they had not targeted them. So that is one statement made by them. Now, when we come to India's part, very few people would be knowing actually that the Indian ambassador to Lebanon is incidentally from Manipur. He's a Maite Pangal. And Muhammad Sayyid Sheikh Rahman, he is an IFS officer. We have Indian troops who are part of the contingent of the UN peacekeeping. We send Indian troops to countries like Sudan, to Congo, to Lebanon. Now, in the army, because there is no regionalism, there's no, you only follow one religion in the army. That's it. That's the country comes first, always, every time. It's very interesting and very heart-touching that they are people from Manipur, the soldiers from Manipur, who are right now, as we speak, at this point of time, in Lebanon, and they are our nursing staff, our doctors. There is an infantry battalion over there. They are mightier than cookies who are fighting in Manipur now, and Manipur, their house is in turmoil. They are working shoulder to shoulder together in tandem in goodwill for world peace. I mean, what better example can it be than this? The world should learn from the Indian Army what we all together focus on. Now, as General Zakaji said, India has enough issues of their own. Now, India most certainly can play a very, very good peace broker if approached, that is, and then it is up to India to decide. India reserves the right to decide whether we actually would want to play a peace broker in this or not, because we are in excellent terms with Israel. We are in very good terms with Iran. We are in very good terms with Lebanon. We are in very good terms with all other countries apart from 2 nations, namely Pakistan and China. Otherwise, India has got a solid equation over there. Now, the very fact is in Lebanon again, at 3 a.m., if there is bombing going to happen and everyone is asleep, and you hardly get a minute to actually take cover, and there are sirens being blown, and you hardly would get a minute. So it is indeed very alarming and distressing over there. So India's role can be definitely of a very, very good peace broker, but provided India is officially requisitioned for, and India's approach that, okay, today India has emerged as a global power. You go anywhere in the world with an Indian passport, the value of an Indian passport, of an Indian passport holder would be right from the airport, right from the time he steps in, right from the immigration. He's treated with a lot of respect. So India most certainly can play a very, very good role over here. So so I would like to conclude by saying my hats off to our Indian Army brethren, our soldiers who risk their lives and who are there, who are totally unmindful of their own personal safety, who go beyond the call of duty, and who are not just, Manipur is a golden state which has not just contributed in nation building, but international peace and harmony and in coexistence. Yes. Yes, sir.
Simran, if I may, just for 1 second, I stand corrected. Ambassador Suresh Goyal, he is not Ambassador Tripathi. I am sorry. Stand corrected, please.
All right. Thank you. Thank you to both my guests who have given us a time and in very detail have also broken down the entire crisis and the conflict for the interest of the viewers.